The Catholics of Oz is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to episode 68 of The Catholics of Oz. The Catholics of Oz is a show where we discuss faith, culture, and what's been happening from an Aussie perspective. Whether it's synods or science, apostolates and apps, providence or productivity, you can hear it right now on The Catholics of Oz. Hello, my name is Lindsay Sands. Welcome to episode 68. So great to have you with us for another episode of The Catholics of Oz. And I'm joined by my sister, who is preparing an egg drop talk very soon.
Yes.
We'll talk about that more later. Caroline, how are you going today?
I am well, thank you. Very rainy this week. Very cold and rainy, unusual.
Yes, happy spring, Melbourne.
Yes.
It feels more like winter right now, doesn't it?
It was summer last week. This week we get winter.
Yeah, we have it's like a seasonal week. Yeah.
Yeah, Melbourne.
Yes. And joining us, frozen but not forgotten, is Lino Sabol. Lino, how are you today?
I'm good. When you say the word Frozen, I think of that movie. But I am going to sing that song. I apologize for all the listeners. I am not going to sing that song.
Yeah.
But it's been good, guys. We're out of lockdown. From last week. It's been a week or so now.
Been 2 weeks.
We're out of bit of lockdown.
Couple of weeks,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's been good. And we're almost up to our target of 90% of people being vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Australia, that's correct, isn't it? Australia, not Victoria.
I think Australia's single dose rate is at 90%, which is good. Yep.
Yeah. So we're getting there, guys, and feeling good because now we can all go out and do what we need to do.
Yeah.
When we can do it, and we don't have a curfew like back in our teenage days. But yeah, they can't go back at by 10:30. Anyway, but
10:30. Your parents were generous.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Wow. Yeah. But the problem is, they did come late. Yeah, I'll get a bit of talking afterwards, so I have to make sure they get on that time. But yeah, it's been good, guys. Yeah, like you said, for all these listeners out there in Melbourne, we have 4 seasons in one day sometimes. we are dead serious. So we could be burning our skin off. Then next day we'll be freezing our behinds off, and next time we're going, oh, it's a beautiful day, and all of a sudden it just could change. This is Melbourne, guys.
Yeah.
If you all Melburnians know that we have 4 seasons in one day, you know it. And also in our cars, you wonder why we got an umbrella, a jacket, or a picnic blanket sometimes.
Yeah. In addition to our sanitizer, our
mugs, our phones to make sure that we can QR
our
code
COVID shots.
Yeah, vaccination proof, the whole lot. Yeah.
My doctor actually has already booked me in for my booster. I went to see her for a checkup yesterday,
Wow.
and she's like, "Okay, when are you due for a booster? Okay, I'm going to book you in." I'm like, "Okay,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
still a couple of months away, but she's right on it." I'm like, "Okay,
Nice.
fine."
Boosted.
Nice.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
That's the other thing we had to talk. Yeah, that's the other thing that's going to happen. We have to have another booster shot. But that's a Pfizer.
Yeah.
Is that correct, guys? So
Pfizer,
booster.
yeah.
Pfizer booster
Pfizer
shot.
booster, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I already had Pfizer, so I'm going to have Pfizer again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
Be
sore
consistent.
arm.
Yeah. Bit of continuity.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
That's the worst thing it did to me. My arm was so sore.
Yeah,
I never had
ours as
a
well.
sore arm
It
like that.
felt-
Flu shot hurts, but this is something else.
This one was
Something else,
Yeah,
Oh, God.
that's true.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right. That descended from how you're going to our vaccine woes, but let's get back on track.
Why not?
One thing I'm looking forward to, I've got to say, with our return to freedoms is returning to church. So again, this podcast will be 2 weeks ago by the time people listen, but or a week ago, I should say. But my family and I are going back to church for the first time in a very long time. So very excited about that. So going to wake up nice and early for 9:30 mass.
Yeah, awesome.
So you go to the was it the open one? Are you Lindsay?
No, 9:30 is the
9:30 the closed one.
is the vaccinated. I don't know.
It's a vaccinated man.
Anyway,
Is that a booked? It's still booked. You still have to book for now?
no, only for the open mass.
Oh, no, because there's
Open
more.
mass.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm
I think so. Yeah.
confused.
For those people who have no idea what we're talking about,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
complicated. Don't worry about it.
I'm still settling in. I'm going on Thursday night for Damien's and my godson's confirmation, so that's good.
Cool.
I'll see you there. Yeah, because
Yes.
my son Davey's getting confirmed,
It's
which is
restricted
it's
numbers,
finally
but-
happening. It's
Yes.
I think it was last year or early this year.
think
I was
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
preparing Damien for confirmation,
You
and then that
were.
all went down the gurgler with COVID
Yeah.
and lockdowns and whatever.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
so good to see church life returning.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank
Exactly.
God.
Thank God for that.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, so before we continue the show, we just want to remind everyone that SQPN advertises all of our episodes on Facebook. So if you're a Facebook listener, you can go to Facebook viewer, not listener, sorry. If you view the Facebooks, you can go to SQPN's Facebook page and you can see our shows advertised there and share it with anyone who you think who would love to see it. So please do. That's facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. SQPN is also on Twitter at SQPN is the handle. And if you're new to listening to the Catholics of Oz, hello and welcome. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, or your favorite podcast player. All of the episodes of SQPN shows, including the Catholics of Oz, are also hosted on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube, search for SQPN, and hit the bell to get notifications and subscribe there. And anytime there's a new episode of the Catholics of Oz or anything else, any of the other great content on SQPN, you'll get notified. And don't forget also, we would love some wonderful feedback and positive ratings, so a nice 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. This helps other people to find us and it helps us to reach out to people. And reaching out to people is what we're all about and sharing a bit of positivity. So with that, let's get the show on the road. So Caroline and Lino, I'm going to take the first topic again, do something about what's going on in the church. So again, grab a pillow, have a snooze if you like. In recent times, I've spoken about some of the things that have been happening in the Australian church. So a couple of episodes ago, we spoke about the reimagining parish life and forming parishes into missions initiative that's happening in the Archdiocese of Melbourne. So very local for us. Last episode, I spoke about the national discussions going on in the Australian Catholic Church's Plenary Council, which is another listening and discernment and renewing of the church for to be prepared in modern Australia. And just to put the icing on the cake, the international church is doing something very, very similar in having a synod. So I've been waiting for a while to speak about the synod, and it's only in its early days, really. So I'm only going to be giving a bit of an introduction, a lengthy introduction, but an introduction nonetheless. But just an introduction to what this synod is, but also why it's important for us as Catholics to be aware that it's going on, because it is all about us and our participation in the mission of the church. So let's talk about this synod. It's a synod on synodality. So let's work out what that means, because that's not a very attractive title, but it actually is a profound and important one in all seriousness. So Pope Francis did announce this year that that the next synod of the church would start in October this year. So it's already opened, and it's going to be a 2-year process. So there was an opening gathering on I think it was the 9th and 10th of October. Hopefully I got that right. And then on the 17th as well. So just the initial launch push to get this all up and running. So this is the 16th synod of the Catholic Church since Pope Paul VI instituted synods of bishops in 1965. And every time a synod has been called, it's been called to address an important issue for the church or important questions that have been raised to the church. So if they're so important for the church, then it's time to get bishops and leaders together to chat about it and go through a discernment process and pray about it and come up with recommendations with how to deal with the issue, to answer the questions and things like that. So this synod, the title is For a Synodal Church, Communion, Participation, Mission. Words that we've heard a little bit about in our previous episodes as well, especially mission. We've said quite a bit about that. So as I mentioned, it's a 2-year process that will have a number of phases. So we are now in phase 1. The first phase goes from October this year to April next year. And during this phase, this is where the thoughts and ideas from all the dioceses around the world are going to be gathered and then submitted to the church in Rome for the next phase to begin. So it's a big consultation with the church all around the world. And I'll say more about what that means for Melbourne at the end of this little discussion here. So first of all, I thought I might just mention very quickly what a synod is and what the word synodality is all about. Because we could look at these words and brush them aside as okay, whatever, good, the church is doing something, all right. But but these words are actually important for us. So first of all, on a basic level, the word synod simply means gathering, and in the church's practice, it's a gathering of bishops who gather to address important issues, as I've mentioned. It's like a massive consultation meeting. We've got this problem, we need to meet. Let's see if we can solve it. This synod and previous synods have started to incorporate lay people more. And this model of synodality is what Pope Francis is calling for. He said, it is precisely this path of synodality which God expects of the church in the third millennium. So that is the participation of bishops, lay people, everyone working together to progress the mission of the church forward. So from a theological sense, the International Theological Commission describes those terms this way. So synod, it says, is an ancient and venerable word in the tradition of the church, whose meaning draws on the deepest themes of revelation. And revelation is how God reveals God's self to the world. That's what we're talking about. So for example, Jesus is the ultimate revelation of God. We get to know God through what God has revealed to us through who Jesus is, if that makes sense. But basically, synod then indicates the path in which the people of God walk together. So that's the key thing. It's how we walk together as church and do our mission. And they say it also equally refers to Jesus, who presents himself as the way, the truth, and the life. And to that fact, to Christians, his followers, that they were called followers of the way. So synod is, in its theological sense, how the people of God walk together, and that the way to walk together is with Jesus, who is our way, our truth, and our life. So then that leads us to the term synodality, and synodality is how we do that, how we walk together. So they say that it denotes a particular style that qualifies the life and mission of the church, as expressing her nature as the people of God, journeying together and gathering in assembly, summoned by the Lord Jesus in the power of the Holy Spirit to proclaim the gospel. Synodality ought to be expressed in the church's ordinary way of living and working. So a synod and synodality is not just a gathering of bishops, but it's the life of the church. It's what we do every day. It's our gathering as church and our expressing who Jesus is as a church as well. So the way that we live our mission. And they say, so it's not an extraordinary thing. It's not just something that someone does out there in Rome. It's what we do every day. It's our ordinary way of living as Christians. So I wanted to do a bit more of a deep dive about what the theme of the synod is and what's actually going to be focused on for the next 2 years. And there's a very helpful handbook that the church has produced. It's about 60 pages, and it has the theology, the instructions, how to go about consulting with dioceses. So I'm just focusing on the section that talks about the theme and the dimensions of the theme as well. So I mentioned before that the theme is for a synodal church. So how do we make the church more synodal in that way that I just mentioned before? And with the dimensions of communion, participation, and mission. So those three dimensions are what we're being asked as lay people to contribute our thoughts, our discernment about as well to the church. So they're all interrelated, as the church says here. It says they're vital pillars of a synodal church, and there's no hierarchy. They're all equal. They all enrich each other, and they all set the direction for each other as well. So there's this dynamic relationship when we keep all three in mind. So by communion, the church says that by his gracious will, God gathers us together as diverse peoples of one faith through the covenant that he offers to his people. The communion we share finds its deepest roots in the love and unity of the Trinity. It is Christ who reconciles us to the Father and unites us with each other in the Holy Spirit. Together, we are inspired by listening to the Word of God through the living tradition of the church and grounded in the sense of faith that we all share. We all have a role to play in discerning and living out God's call for his people. So communion is the gathering of all of us into God with all of our differences and with God present and with the example of Jesus and through our listening to the Holy Spirit, we are a communion, or we are a community of church. So the next dimension is participation. And they say that this is a call for the involvement of all who belong to the people of God, laity, consecrated and ordained, to engage in the exercise of deep and respectful listening to one another. This listening creates space for us to hear the Holy Spirit together and guides our aspirations for the church for the third millennium. Participation is based on the fact that all faithful are qualified and are called to serve one another through the gifts that they have each received from the Holy Spirit. So in a synodal church, the whole community, in the free and rich diversity of its members, is called together to pray, listen, analyze, dialogue, discern, and offer advice on making pastoral decisions which correspond as closely as possible to God's will. genuine efforts must be made to ensure the inclusion of those at the margins or who feel excluded. So this, if we have community as the first dimension, the second dimension says that the community is called to participate in the church, and not as a single island, but as a group of people. So we pray together, we discern together, we ask ourselves always, are we doing as a group, as a parish, as a diocese, as a worldwide church, are we doing the will of God? And what can we do to ensure that we are as closely aligned to the will of God as we possibly can be? And how do we make sure everyone is involved in that, and that we draw people in from the margins who've been set aside and pushed aside as well? So that's the dimension of participation, and the last dimension is the one of mission. And they say here, the church exists to evangelize. We can never be centered on ourselves. Our mission is to witness to the love of God in the midst of the whole human family. This synodal process has a deeply missionary dimension to it. It is intended to enable the church to better witness to the gospel, especially with those who live on the spiritual, social, economic, political, geographical, and existential peripheries of our world. They like their lists, by the way. In this way, synodality is a path by which the church can more fruitfully fulfill her mission of evangelization in the world as a leaven at the service of the coming of God's kingdom. So we've talked about mission before, and if we look at these three dimensions, it's essentially some of the things that we've been talking about with the church's plenary council. The plenary council hasn't used all of these words explicitly, but it is focusing on these dimensions as well. So as I mentioned before, we have our local church in Melbourne, we have our national church of Australia, and we have the international church, from Rome and all the way around the world, all focusing on what is the mission of the church, or how do we more closely align ourselves to the mission of the church again. So the timeline of the synod, that 2 years, works in the following way. This is what's going to happen. So first, there was the preparation of a document and handbook that I just mentioned before, and I'll put links to all of these in our show notes as well. And they discuss the reason for the synod, the meaning of the synod and of synodality, and the process for consultation with local churches. So show notes will have all of that. So they were all produced and released in September this year. Now the 9th, 10th, and 17th of October, which was last month, this was the celebration of the opening of the synod in Rome and the beginning of the first phase. So this is the phase of consultation with local dioceses that I mentioned before. So this phase that we're in now ends in April 2022, and I think Melbourne has an extension for that, but I'll get into that a little bit later on. And this, when this phase ends, this consultation phase ends, all these submissions will go to Rome, and there'll be like a synthesis of all of it. So it'll be gathered, looked at, explored, and put together in a document called an Instrumentum Laboris, which I've mentioned before is the working document. So just like we have a working document for our plenary council, there'll be a working document for the synod. So this will be produced and published in September 2022. And from there, there'll now be meetings on an international level. So church bodies, church organizations, etc., will be meeting, discerning, discussing, going through the Instrumentum Laboris and coming up with their own ideas. And they'll have until March 2023 to be able to do that. And once they do that, this will then lead to the submission of their ideas, which will lead to the production of a second Instrumentum Laboris. So we're going document crazy now. And this will be released in June 2023. And this will be the final bit of consultation, which will then lead up to and give bishops and other people time to read and discern. And then there'll be the actual final synod meeting in October 2023. And this will lead to the recommendations that are made based on 2 years of feedback and 2 years of consultation, etc. And then a final document of recommendations will be made for the church. And the document will outline how we can be a more synodal church based on what the people of God have been saying to the church for 2 years. So what will happen then is we're in the diocesan phase. So I thought I might just talk about that today. And the diocesan phase is really about listening to the people of God at a local level. So the church says through the document or through the handbook that much of the richness of this listening phase will come from discussions among parishes, lay movements, schools and universities, religious congregations, neighborhood Christian communities, social action, ecumenical and interreligious movements, and other groups as well. So the bishops will initiate this process in their local churches, in their diocese, and they'll model what a synodal way is, and they'll encourage people to have discussions in this synodal sense of people gathering together as community, participating, reflecting on mission, and then saying, here's what we think in terms of, here's what we believe the Spirit is saying in terms of what it means to be closely aligned to God's mission as we look like a church in the third millennium. So the aim, it says here, is not to overwhelm dioceses and parishes, but rather to actually just integrate this synodal process, this way of being church, into the life of the local church. So it's about injecting synodality into our church so that we do more of it now. And the idea then would hopefully promote and deepen communion and more participation and more fruitful mission as well. So this listening phase, we as the people of God, all of us, are being encouraged to gather, respond to stimulus questions, images, scenarios together, listen to each other, provide individual and group feedback, ideas, reactions, and suggestions. And then it said, however, if circumstances, for example, a lockdown or other circumstances like that, make it difficult for interaction to be face-to-face, then to use moderated online discussions as well. So, and also even the sending out of, social media and paper-based or online questionnaires is also allowable as well, if that's all there is. And it suggested that, to use prayer materials, do biblical reflection, listen to sacred music, listen to works of poetry and art, and so on, to stimulate more reflection and dialogue in these discussions. So this diocesan phase is an opportunity for parishes and dioceses to encounter, experience, and live out the synodal journey together, thus discovering or developing synodal tools and pathways that are best suited for their local context, which will ultimately become the new style of local churches on the path of synodality. And before I talk about Melbourne, one observation I would make is that in the research I did for the Australian Church's Plenary Council, I think that their meetings and the materials that were produced were modeling this synodal way for Australia. So we're seeing evidence of it unfolding here. And I have heard people say in comments in different places that Rome is watching the Plenary Council because they're taking ideas and observations about what a synodal church could look like. So Australia, in a way, we're kind of trailblazing a little bit and leading the way in some way in making our contribution. So the final thing I want to talk about is, all right, so we live in the Archdiocese of Melbourne, and there are people listening around the world. You're on your own in diocese as well, and you all have access to ways, and hopefully your local church has made ways available for you. But if not, just type in your diocese and synod or synod on synodality into Google, and I'm sure something will come up. However, what about Melbourne? So the Australian Catholic Bishops media page, which I'll put a link to in the show notes, has explained how Australians can be involved in the synodal process. So in the show notes, I've put a link that has guides, that they've actually put out guides, and they've said, have 3 different meetings, discernment meetings, have one on participation, have one on communion, have one on mission. And they've actually put a guideline for how a conversation could go. And they've broken it down into, prayer, scripture, discussion. Listening is a really important thing. So making sure that we all listen to each other and do deep listening. And then they've said, gather whatever's come out of that discernment that you've had and then submit it online. So they have their own submission portal, which I'll put a link to as well in the show notes that people can contribute to. Now, this portal is open until December 17th this year, which is not a lot of time, so get cracking. But for Melbourne, there's a particular thing as well. However, so December 17th is when that portal is open. So the church in Melbourne has a little bit more time to put together the responses of the people of God as well. And so what they've said on their website here is that all Catholics are invited to take part in the Melbourne Archdiocese consultation process to promote a sense of communion and journeying together. So individuals, parishes, and other communities, such as schools, hospitals, and lay movements, etc., are encouraged wherever possible to produce opportunities for groups and individuals to provide their submissions. So in addition to having our own local listening sessions in our parishes and whatever, the Archdiocese is actually offering a number of diocesan-wide consultation sessions that are going to happen in November as well, and also in early 2022. So these are going to be hosted by the Archdiocese's Proclaim team. So their office is called Proclaim, the Office for Mission Renewal. And each session will offer an experience of listening and discernment as well on the topics of communion, participation, and mission. So they're happening on Tuesday, the 23rd of November, and Thursday, the 25th of November as well. So people in Melbourne can sign up to those, and they can be part of that process. I'm assuming they're happening online, but I don't know. At time of recording, however, there is more details on the website on how to do that. So, guys, that's the synod on synodality. The words might be words that we haven't all heard before. That it's church language. However, it is language that is promoting and asking us to participate in our church. So it's asking laity to be more activated, which is an important thing that's come from the Second Vatican Council. And so what we're being promoted is to think about how we can come to a greater understanding of communion, how that communion can build a greater sense of participation, and help the church to be more aligned to what God wills the church to be, so, through listening and through prayer and through listening to the Spirit, and how we can then use all of that to develop and be part of the mission of the church, Jesus' mission, to go out and make disciples of all nations. So there it is. I hope I didn't send you all to sleep by going through all that, but I think it is. I think it is important for us as a church to know what Pope Francis is doing, and what he's asking for us to do as well. So, Caroline, do you have any comments on the synod, on synodality at all, or any observations?
I think I have a comment on the church itself. There's a lot of many things happening right now.
We're very busy right now. Yeah,
very busy.
Yeah.
On the parish level, the middle level, the upper level, all the levels. And it's good to see this happening. It's good to see the church working on itself, and trying to improve and include everyone. And yeah, I like that. So, and it's good that once again, us lay people can have some input as well. And all of our suggestions will be listened to and then presented on our behalf. So I like that. That was my impression of, all of this, so it's really good to see it happening.
Yeah. Lino, any thoughts on the synod and synodality?
So the process takes how long, Lizzie?
So this is a 2-year process, or a 2-year journey, I should say, and we're just in the very first phase of it now.
Yeah, so this is all the ideas from all over the world of Catholics, is that correct?
That's right, yes.
And then, so when people are bringing ideas, are they bringing ideas concerning their where they are, in what country they're from, and how they want to do their missions and communion and participation? Is that how it's going to do, Linz?
Yeah, those 3 things will look very different depending on the context in which they're happening. So, participation, communion, and mission will look different in Latin America, or in North America, or in Asia, parts of Asia, or in smaller island countries. They will all have, or in remote dioceses or whatever else. So, and the good thing is though, is that the richness that we get is we get to hear, as lay people, we feed in, but we get to hear the feedback that comes out of the rest of the world as well. So when the church produces a document in 2023, we'll get the benefits of the experiences of churches around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I like to hear and know how this all goes, because the church is moving forward, and I hope it all goes well. The reason why I asked the question is because there'll be different situations in different countries, and how Catholics are celebrating Mass. You know what I mean? And I just hope it goes very well, because I noticed there are differences in Masses these days. Is that I've been hearing a lot of people asking about Latin being introduced into the Masses. Is that going to be something they'll be talking about, Linz, or is that something else?
Look, it's not a primary focus, but people will talk about their experience of church, because there are different ways of doing Mass depending on for what rite of the church you're in, what community you belong to. So that experience, just like the plenary council had done that, the plenary council acknowledged that people had spoken about their experiences of Mass in different contexts and different rites as well. I'm sure that's going to be fed back to the church, the worldwide church as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool,
it'll be
cool,
one
cool.
thing amongst many, many, many things that you can imagine millions of words are going to be produced that have to be sorted through by the end of this phase. Yeah,
Yeah, that's how to say that.
yeah. All right, so we'll move on. But before we do, if any of you who are listening have any thoughts about the Synod, please let us know. Any reflections you have? Have you been part of a consultation process for the Synod already? Let us know your experiences. We'd love to know about your discernment as well. Anything that, whether you're in a small group or a large group, what came out of your discussions, and what's the experience been like? We'd love to hear. All right, so we have a very special science segment today, and Caroline, I'm going to pass it over to you and to your consultant, Frankie. So, Caroline, tell us about today's science topic.
No, today I have a special guest with me. I've got Frankie, my son, and your nephew.
Yay.
You want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone.
G'day, Frankie.
So there's a special reason he's with me today, and that is because during the week he told me about an experiment they did at school called the Egg Drop Challenge.
Awesome.
And I thought that would be good to talk about it today in our science segment. So I'm going to tell you a bit about what the Egg Drop Challenge is. So this is from sciencing.com, and it says the egg drop is a classic science class experiment for middle school or high school students. We're only in grade 4. Hey, Frankie. And students are given an egg to drop from a high point, such as the roof of the school, or onto a hard surface, such as a parking lot. We used
to get detentions for doing things like that.
Well,
we got in real trouble for doing that, man.
That's it.
Wow.
Now they're encouraging it. They must design a carrier for the egg to house it during the drop. Typical carriers are milk cartons or shoe boxes. The students can modify the carrier by adding wings, parachutes, foam interiors, or even marshmallow cushions.
Oh, that's so cool.
The
Oh.
students form hypotheses about which of the egg carriers will effectively protect the egg, and then to test the hypotheses. The experiment is not just for fun, although students do enjoy it. It is intended to teach students about relationships between force and momentum. So, Frankie, can you tell me a bit about how your teacher told you about the egg drop challenge at school?
So first, it started as the teacher was presenting, like, we have a big white screen and then the teacher connects the computer to it, and then it said that the egg drop challenge, this is just fake stuff. Scientists believe that a bird that is extinct called the kicking parrot, but one scientist actually spotted one kicking parrot up on a tree. It's the opposite way around. The males lay the eggs and the...
How did you get to the egg drop challenge from there, sweetie?
Well,
what did the teacher tell you that you were going to do?
We can't stop the kicking parrots from making them kick their eggs. So instead, we can try and protect the egg.
Yep.
And that's how the egg drop challenge.
So did you have to do something to protect your egg when you dropped it? Is that right? And what design did you do?
Well, my design was, so I got a helmet, a egg, you need an egg, and some masking tape and some yellow string. So first we taped the egg to the helmet, the inside of the red helmet, and then after we got a magazine, taped it on the bottom of the helmet, and then we just put lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of tape and yellow string. Unfortunately, it didn't work.
Oh,
Oh.
no. So how did you perform the experiment? What did you do? Did you drop the egg? Who dropped the egg and where did you drop it?
Oh, my teacher, my 4-5 teacher, so in grade 4 now,
Mm-hmm.
did all the dropping, dropped the egg.
And so did it break?
And I mean, the funny thing was, everyone's egg broke.
Oh, no.
No one succeeded. It was a
Oh.
complete 100% fail.
Well, you know, when you do an experiment, you don't necessarily fail, but you do find out if something works and how something works.
That's
And then
right.
you can go, how can I do it better next time maybe, and design another experiment, hey? I wonder if maybe we should do that at home, but maybe in the yard. What do you think?
Mm.
We could try some other things. I've got heaps of bubble wrap. I reckon if we wrap it in bubble wrap, maybe the egg will survive. What do you think? Yeah? Yeah. Or the article we read mentioned marshmallows. Could we tape it up in marshmallows? That
Interesting.
would be good. Then we can eat the marshmallows later. That would be yummy.
I'm very happy to
yeah.
help with the marshmallows
The
if you need.
marshmallows with egg sauce.
Oh,
That
whoa.
is delightful and delicious.
We could cook it up and see what happens.
Yeah, we all get sick later.
So delicious.
Yes.
MasterChef creation there.
Yes. So, Frankie, did your teacher tell you what you were testing for when you were dropping the egg?
We would test if it broke or if it survived.
That's right.
Mm.
You know, there's one force that's really, really evident when you drop an egg, and that would be
Gravity.
yes, that's
Yes.
it. Also, there are other forces of motion too. I'm going to read a little bit about that for you, so you can maybe understand a little bit more about what happened to your egg. So, you're testing the science behind solving the falling egg problem is found in Sir Isaac Newton's laws of motion. The first law states that an object at rest will stay at rest, and an object in motion will stay in motion, unless acted upon by an external unbalanced force. This law means that if the force acting on a falling egg are equal, it will remain in its current state of motion. If a force greater than those acting on the egg is applied, it will accelerate. Acceleration means any change in velocity, slowing down, speeding up, or changing direction. If you hold an egg, the forces you are applying are equal and balanced, cancelling out the force of gravity. Therefore, it remains motionless in your hand. If you let go of the egg, gravity becomes unbalanced force and causes the egg to fall to the ground. There you go. There's Newton's second law deals with the relationship between an object's mass, its acceleration, and the amount of force it exerts. The heavier an object is and the faster it is traveling, the more force it exerts. Gravity causes falling objects to accelerate at a rate of 32.2 feet per second squared.
Wow.
Yeah, by reducing the
That's a
amount
lot.
it is. By reducing the amount of mass in the egg container, you are reducing the amount of force it exerts as it falls. And then there's one more law that states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. That means when you exert a force on an object, the object exerts a force back on you. So there you go. You actually, without realizing, were testing 3 forces of motion. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yes. And I thought probably our favorite thing to talk about here in the science segment is space. And space has a lot to do with gravity. And on Earth, there's a lot of gravity. So I thought we'd talk a bit more about gravity. What do you reckon? So let me tell you. The egg drop challenge also demonstrates the gravitational pull of the Earth and its effect on objects, just as you learnt. So, Frankie, do you want to read to me what is gravity?
Gravity is the force by which a planet or other body draws objects towards its center. The force of gravity keeps all of the planets in orbit around the sun.
That is awesome. And
what else does gravity do?
go on, you can tell me.
Why do you land on the ground when you jump up instead of floating off into space? Why do things fall down when you throw them or drop? The answer is gravity, an invisible force that pulls objects towards each other. Earth's gravity is what keeps you on the ground and what makes things fall.
There we go.
That's correct.
And then anything that has mass also has gravity. Objects with more mass have more gravity. Gravity also gets weaker with distance. So the closer objects are to each other, the stronger their gravitational pull is. Earth's gravity comes from all its mass. All its mass makes combined gravitational pull on the mass in your body. That's what gives you weight. And if you were on a planet with less mass than the Earth, you would weigh less than you do on Earth. Hey, Frankie, if there are some effects that gravity has on our Earth, like you described with the egg drop challenge. So what happened when you dropped the egg? What did the egg do? It fell to the ground, didn't it?
Yes, and it cracked.
That's it. So why don't you read some effects of gravity on the Earth, apart from seeing smashed eggs?
Gravity keeps us floating away and keeps us on the Earth's surface.
What else?
It keeps objects on the ground. Gravity gives you weight, so the more gravity, the more weight you have.
And what happens if you go to space?
You're weightless.
Because there's no gravitational pull on you, is
Yeah,
there?
there's no gravity,
That's
zero
it.
gravity.
And then what else does it do for us, gravity?
It holds the atmosphere onto the Earth, so we have air to breathe.
There we go. So gravity really has a big effect on Earth, doesn't it? And really helps us, doesn't it? Helps us to live on our planet. Do you know that gravity also has an effect in our solar system? So in our solar system, the Earth, it keeps the Earth and other planets orbiting the sun with the gravitational pull of the sun. The force of the sun is so strong, its gravitational pull, it keeps us all going round and round it. Then the Earth keeps the moon orbiting itself. So the gravitational pull of the Earth keeps the moon going round and round. And then the gravitational pull of the moon pulls the sea towards itself, creating waves. So that's why we have waves on the Earth, because the actual moon has some gravitational pull on the Earth. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Then, even in the universe, gravity has an effect. So gravity creates stars and planets by pulling the matter that they're made of together. So like, you've got clumps of rocks and stuff, and when they all collect together and spin round and round and round, it gets all tighter and tighter and tighter and eventually forms a planet or some other body floating around. And then stars, they're made from like gases, and then they spin and spin and spin around. Something sparks it off to spin around. They get really close together, and all the atoms start sparking off energy, and then they fuse together, and then they make a star eventually. It lights up and goes, star. And then gravity can also pull on light. Did you know black holes have so much mass that they're made of so much stuff that in such a small volume that gravity is so strong that everything, including light, is pulled into it. Isn't that cool? So we can't actually see the center of a black hole. We can see the edges of it, but we can't see the middle of it because it pulls all the light into it. So there we go. The egg drop challenge demonstrates so many forces and can give us clues to the forces acting on objects on Earth and even in our universe. So there we go. That's what we got out of the egg drop challenge. Simple egg drop. And then we learned so much more.
Frankie, how you going? It's Uncle Lindsay here.
Hi, Uncle Lindsay. I'm going good.
I just want to say that was such a great explanation, and you're such a smart young man. And that was I really enjoyed that. And even though you joked about your egg like cracking, that cracked me up. By the way, I thought that was quite funny.
Oh,
yes, I know, Uncle
I
joke.
get it. Cracked it up.
But yeah, I just love the way you explained that today. And yeah, you would be an awesome science podcaster one day. So
I'm
well done.
I'm cracked up to be on this podcast.
You know what? I'm proud of you. That was a proud uncle moment. And I think we should all, there's only 3 of us, but we should give Frankie a big podcasting round of applause. So well done,
Yeah.
Frankie. Well done. All right,
really
let's pop.
got cracked
Yeah.
up. Really.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frankie. That was really well done. Thanks for helping me out today in the science segment.
That was awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm actually afraid of how smart he is now.
Really
You should be. I am.
All right, so let's move on now, and we promised a segment to one of our listeners, so we're going to do this. So normally we do our entertainment segment and talk about things that entertain us, and we're going to do that. But young Dominic emailed us now over a month ago now it was, and he told us he asked us if we could talk about computer games that we like and things like that. So we thought we would have a bit of a chat about computer games that we have enjoyed, are enjoying, when we have time to play them. I've got to say, Dominic, do your homework. I just finished doing a 3,000 word essay, so I haven't had a lot of time to play recently. But but actually, I might start the conversation by talking about a game that did get me through the essay writing process. So there were times when I do a lot of writing, I need a bit of a break. And one game that kept me quite happy was actually an iPhone game. It's an iOS game, and it's called Lego Star Wars Battles. And you do need an Apple Arcade subscription for this game, but essentially what the game is about is you play against other people, and you've got your base on one side, and they've got theirs, on the other side, and you can build towers like defense towers, and you have to send like little Lego army people to try and destroy the other person's base, and you've got 3 minutes to do it. So, for example, you could you play either as it chooses for you in each round. You either play as the dark side, as the Empire, or as the Rebellion, and you can build stormtroopers or rebel troopers. You can get heroes like Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett and Darth Vader. Boba Fett's really good, by the way; he's really strong. You can build all kinds of different troops, and you can have TIE bombers and Y-wings do bombing missions and things like that. And within 3 minutes, whoever has the most either the most towers left, whoever has the most towers left is the winner of the rounds, and then you get like a ranking and you rank up and things like that. So I've really enjoyed that. Yeah. Who wants to throw a game into the ring?
Well, I've been playing Civilization 5. Yes, I'm stuck back in the...
Hey, it's a great game, yeah.
It's a great game. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really love it. I've been playing all the Civilization series, I guess, from the beginning to now.
Yep.
Cool.
Look, I did download Civilization 6. There was a sale on Steam, and I thought, yes, I would love to. I'm going to get it. So I got it. I downloaded it. I started playing it. Oh my gosh, I just couldn't get along with it. Maybe I have to try again. But the gameplay is different. The graphics are great, but the gameplay is different. And I just couldn't get a hold, in the game. So I couldn't. I gave it a good go, but I went back to Civilization 5. I really enjoyed it a lot
if you're
better.
enjoying it, yeah.
Yeah, it's faster paced. I felt like it's more of a fast pace. So I couldn't quite figure out how to play 6 too. I mean, I was getting the tips, like, it pops up with tips and stuff, but it just wasn't as smooth for me. Yes, so that's been my game at the moment. And another thing I'm excited about doing is, so we've got a Nintendo Switch, and so what I've been doing is, the Nintendo Online has a membership, which allows you to play games, but now they've extended the membership, and they've also included now Nintendo 64 games that you can go back and play.
Yeah.
So I've downloaded it. I've just got to find time. I'm really looking forward to going back and playing some Nintendo 64 games, because
Get back to Banjo-Kazooie.
Yes, and like the original, the not original, but one of the best Mario Karts, I think, like the most enjoyable one for me.
Oh, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire is a classic game from Nintendo 64.
Yeah,
wow, you could get that back up and running again,
So I want to give that a good explore. Yeah, Zelda.
Legend of Zelda, yeah.
I don't know if they've got Pokemon Stadium. I used to really enjoy playing that on there too.
That's 64, yep.
Yeah. So.
We played a lot of Nintendo 64, didn't we in our teenage years? Yeah.
I think it was you and I pitched in to buy it, didn't we?
I think from memory, yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't have any consoles before that. We just that was literally our first one, wasn't it? And then so it was so fun. I actually went and bought another one. Was it last year or the year before? Because I missed it so much, so I just found it and bought it.
Need to, yeah.
So now I don't need to. I can just go on the Switch.
Yeah.
But just for nostalgia, just like for having the console, I really like. I just like looking at it. It works. It works. But
Caroline, wasn't the original Pikmin like a 64 game? I think.
It was a GameCube.
Oh, it was a GameCube game. Okay.
GameCube.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I've still got that, and I play it, and
Yep.
And it does work on the Wii and the Wii U, and
good.
Nice.
Wow. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Pikmin, yes, is a great game. Great game for all ages, I got to say too. Yeah.
I'm so addicted to Pikmin. I still go back and play it, even though I finished the main mission. They've got little side missions, and so you can have fun. Like you can do competition against someone else to see who can get the most fruit.
Yeah.
Or there's another one, it's called Bingo Battle, that you can you've got to fill up a bingo card with stuff you've collected, and whoever gets it first wins. So
Cool.
That's
and
really
the premise
good.
of that game is you're on a spaceship that's crashed into a planet, and the ship needs to be repaired. Typical little sci-fi plot.
Yeah.
But you're miniature, like you're a miniature person compared to the rest of the world, and I think it's Earth, isn't it? Basically, and you're finding objects like Coke cans and fruit and whatever else.
That's it. Yeah. You're getting like all this. You're getting bits of fruit. You're getting bits of items. The first one was more items, I think, and that's when the ship crashed first time. And then the second one is a similar story, and the next one is a similar story. We're waiting for Pikmin 4. Sorry, go.
And you recruit these little creatures called Pikmin, which you add as well. They all have different, like some can swim, some can withstand fire. Some, can build and things like that, and you have to use them to. It's like lemmings, but in a sense, but much more advanced.
Oh,
a lot more fun.
The Pikmin are all different colors. So as the first game just had the yellow Pikmin, red Pikmin, and blue Pikmin, and then the subsequent games introduced like the white Pikmin, the rock Pikmin, and the purple Pikmin, and they all have their different strengths. There's a pink Pikmin as well that flies. So they all have their little. It's like challenges, like puzzles, sort of in a 3D kind of way, because you've got to use the right kind of Pikmin to do the right kind of task, and some are better at fighting bosses than others, and all of that. So, that's a total hit in our family. Yes, Pikmin.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of people enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I was not going to say it's easy, but it's easy to get into to play. Yeah, and the problem solving. Yeah, it
really is. And I mean, they've been saying Pikmin 4 for several years now.
Yeah.
I think it came out of Pikmin 3. It came out about 2014 or so when my youngest was born, and they bought out a Pikmin 3 Deluxe for the Switch, which had a little bit extra content, but we got through it so quickly. It's like, no, really, we want the Pikmin
4. Do it, release it.
That's it.
Wow. What is it? Other games that I love and classic like simulator games, like flight simulator kind of games.
Yes.
We used to play, remember Flight Simulator 4? We were really young.
We used to play it all the time.
But in the more sci-fi realm of that, I grew up loving and being obsessed with the X-Wing series of games. So the first one was X-Wing, where you flew like rebel fighters against against TIE fighters and completed missions and things like that. TIE Fighter is considered like one of the biggest classics of that series. This is where you actually flew for the Empire, and the story was really complex for that. And then they put a third game out, and unfortunately there was never a game that followed, called X-Wing Alliance. And this was and that was an awesome story game, and that culminated in you doing the Death Star battle at Endor. And you actually fly into the Death Star, like, in the Millennium Falcon.
Hey guys, I like City Skylines.
Oh yes, and Frankie, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
I guess Frankie wants to talk about City Skylines. If that's
And why don't we do that? Yes, in terms of simulator and
Okay.
building games. Yeah,
Okay.
all right,
Yeah,
go for
here
it.
we go, Frankie.
Yeah.
All
Go,
good,
Caroline.
all good.
Yep.
City Skylines. It's basically a game where you can build your own city.
Yep.
You can really build. It's like a world simulator game. So, but it's a bit like a modern version of a civilization game, except it's not a civilization game. It's where you create your own city. So there's mods, and so the 5 mods that you'll start out with are the unlimited money mod,
Yeah, that's a good one.
where you start with unlimited money and cash never runs out.
That's right. That's right.
And the next one is unlock all. Progression milestones will always be unlocked.
Ah,
Oh wow. Okay.
The next one is unlimited ore and oil.
Oh,
Yep.
right.
Ore and oil won't be reduced by terrain. And the next one is landscaping without limits.
Oh gosh. Wow.
I just like building the transit network system. That's my favourite part.
yeah.
Building all the roads, the highways, the freeways,
Yep.
some trams. There's a lot of cool features, actually.
Can you put an airport in your city as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do an airport, a aviation club,
Yeah.
lots of other stuff like blimps
Cool.
and helicopters.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Cool.
Good on you, Frankie. Yeah. Yeah, Lino,
Lots
you've
more stuff as well that you need to explore.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Ah, yes,
That's
you do.
awesome.
Yes,
I
you do.
reckon
Awesome.
people should have a go at it. I'm
Yeah.
tempted to.
Lino, you've played City Skylines, haven't you?
Yeah, look, I was about to say to Frankie and Caroline and everything, it's a great game. I can't remember where I got it from, maybe from Steam and
Yeah,
one of the
Steam.
reviews and I bought it and it's a great game. It can be a bit technical at times as well because I was going to ask Frankie how is he doing with transport and the roads.
Oh, yeah,
I am
Frankie.
so bad. I am so bad at it. I just put a road here, a road there. Oh yeah, I'll put my commercial industrial people on this side and my industrial side on this side and see how the roads connect. Oh no.
Up and everything.
Hey Frankie,
Yeah.
how you going? It's Lino. How are
Hi,
you?
Uncle Lino.
Hey, how you doing, mate? So I was talking about how you doing with your roads. How are you building your roads? How is it doing? Are you able to make the traffic go well?
Well, sometimes there are
Yes.
possible traffic jams.
That's correct. Yes, I've come across that.
I'm always trying to improve the network and coming up with solutions.
Just like Melbourne.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, it's great to know, Frankie. It's a great game, Frankie. I encourage you to keep on going and playing with it. It's a great game, man.
Yeah, great
And-
problem
And
solving.
also, if
Yeah.
you're not happy with how much content you have
That's correct.
on the base game,
Yes,
there's also expansion packs.
Ah,
so there's
yes.
that's correct.
Yep.
That's correct. Yep.
Green cities,
Green City is cool. Yeah.
mass transit, lots of
Mhm.
other ones.
Yep.
Mhm.
Or you can just download assets, mods, and all that other
Yep.
stuff from the Steam Workshop.
Yep.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's so much content in there, Frankie,
Yeah.
and it's a great game,
Millions
man.
of stuff to explore.
Uh-huh.
It is. It is.
Better try it out.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I will. Thank you, Frankie. It's a great game, man.
Awesome.
Thanks, Frank.
That's 10 out of 10 cities from Frankie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
10 out of 10 to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Very cool.
It's
that
like I was
reminds me
saying,
of do you
yeah.
remember the classic SimCity, the very old?
Oh, yes.
yes.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. I remember that
Yeah.
that one used to have. I don't know if this one has it, but it used to have disasters. Like you could
Yes.
have alien invasions
Yes.
and giant
Yes.
dinosaurs and and floods. Yeah.
There is content creations and
Yeah.
Frankie said there's add-ons and stuff like that
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
earthquakes.
Yes.
And also what was the one? Yeah, with the remember the SimCity we had to connect all your water
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
electricity
Yeah.
Yeah.
and gas and everything. With City Skylines it can be a bit too complicated as in your sewage side of things.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah.
If you have to make sure that the flow is right.
Yes,
so
so
it's very
technical, isn't it?
It
But
is.
Frankie's
Technical,
got
yeah,
one of
wow.
these technical brains and he just loves it. It's
Yeah.
It's an awesome game to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and
It's
like
amazing.
Lindsay was saying with the traffic and the transport,
yeah.
it is you just go, oh my goodness me, this is what the politicians have to go through,
yeah.
making sure the flow and everything goes round.
Crazy.
But yeah, and also I think you can name your streets and name your estates. So of course I had to do the southeast area. So my first estate had to be Dufton. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
started on
of course.
Dufton North, and I put Holy Family.
Yeah.
And you can build primary schools and
Oh,
high
wow.
schools. Of course, there's of course. Come on, guys. There's Holy Family there. St. John's on that side,
Yeah.
and Danone Plaza in the
Oh,
Dangle
yeah.
Plaza. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
of course it grows up and
Yeah.
it becomes. I had to change it to Chadstone for some reason. Oh, it's Chadstone in Dufton. Oh, there you go.
Got that
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, it's a great game, guys. Yeah, it's. I think I introduced it to Damien, and I think he got hooked on for a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yep. Damien, speaking of building, Damien is right into Minecraft.
Mm.
So
Minecraft's the
yeah,
same.
where people have done things where they've built cities in their hometowns and
It
things
is
like that in Minecraft as
crazy
well.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
He likes the building, but now he plays with his friends. They do lots of competitive, like there's like all kinds of, a 3 versus 3, where you have to beat the other team by destroying their bed, because apparently the bed is how you can respawn. So you have to get into their
Okay.
base, destroy their bed, and then they
That's
can't
funny.
respawn. So once you destroy them, it's got them forever. So Damien's into that kind of,
funny.
yeah.
That is awesome.
I was going to mention that I'm one of my favorite types of games when I have time to play are like stealth action kinds of games where you got to sneak around and not be seen. So if you remember Lino, good old Metal Gear Solid, things like that, where it's sneaking around. But when you get caught,
When you
yeah,
get
and you have
caught,
to
you just
hide
whoosh.
until they stop looking for you and things like that.
Mhm.
I still love
Boxes.
that. The Commando series, which is quite dated now, you can still get it on Steam, but it's quite old and the controls are a bit like they haven't really kept up with modern ways of playing. But I still love those where you'd be like an elite British unit that would sneak through German defenses and there up a factory or whatever, or kidnap someone, or what you have to like all that kind of spy kind of stuff. That evolved into there are similar games now. One is called Shadow Tactics, and that's set in ancient Japan, around the time of samurai and things like that. And you're trying to stop a conspiracy to kill the emperor, and you've got 4 different types of classes of character. And again, you have to sneak around. If you get caught, you're finished. There's all that kind of stuff. And there's another game that was made by the same company called Desperados 3, and it's exactly the same thing, but with cowboys, set in the West.
Yes.
With Desperados 3, though, actually with all 3 of them, I mean, you can knock like people out, which is good. I like that because that's what I try and do most of the time. But in games like this, you do have to kill other, enemies and things like that too. So, so just a warning that's a feature of it as well. And Desperados 3, unfortunately, it involves a lot of swearing, which is a bit of a letdown. It's a great game with great gameplay, but there's a lot of F words, and I wouldn't recommend it for children. I mean, it's unfortunate that they've done that, but and I guess, I don't know, was the language like that in the Midwest? I have no idea. Americans will have to tell me, but I'm guessing that they weren't all polite, nice people in some of these backwater towns, but yeah, having said that, I mean, you don't have to include it. I mean, but it's there. I also wanted to mention just some console games very quickly. So if you like the hack and slash genre, which is just where you bash buttons and beat people up and whatever. So Lord of the Rings Shadows of Mordor was a great game. It's set sort of before the events of Lord of the Rings. And you basically are going around like Mordor and parts of Middle Earth, and completing missions. But it's an open world game, so it doesn't go mission to mission. You just run to a place and there's a mission there and you complete it. And you do. I think Gollum was in it. No, Gollum is not in it, or is he? I forgot. Anyway, but there are callbacks to very familiar things from Lord of the Rings. And in that same style of play are the Batman Arkham Asylum series, where you play as and they are so well done. If you love Batman, this is like, I reckon they encapsulated Batman really well in this series. It does involve, again, punching bad guys and whatever, but it's not just about that. You've got to solve crimes, and it's open city kind of stuff. And you go against the Joker and against Two-Face and what is it? Deadshot, I think it is.
Deadshot, we have to compete?
Yeah, all the classic bad guys, but it's done really well. It's like, and the Joker is voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yes.
Cool. And he does like the Batman animated series voice. Yeah. And oh my gosh, it is so well done.
That was a good series too.
Yeah, that was a great series. Yeah, the animated series.
I like Zelda, that kind of game. Zelda's been my favorite.
Open world again. Where
I love that kind of thing. It's not really violent. You do have to like kill enemies and stuff, but
but they blow up in a puff of smoke when you beat them, which is
better.
That's it.
And that's my level of violence in games, because I really don't enjoy violence. I'm a bit of a kid with that in that sense, but I love that kind of exploring and solving puzzles, solving missions, and to ride the horse, you get to go off the horse, you get to use swords, change swords. There's the Ocarina of Time where you play a tune
ocarina,
and you get a different spell or something, you change into a different thing. Yeah, that's a good one.
Have you got Breath of... was it called, Caroline? Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild. I got it recently, and I started playing it, and then I just got busy. I really need to go back on it.
Get back into it.
It's very good as well. Really good as well.
Finding the time to play computer games is so hard now, isn't it?
I mean, if I could just go on a holiday by myself and just play games all week.
There's the beach right there, but now I want to play games.
Yeah, I'm going to stay and play. And I'll just go to the city and sit in the room.
There's no Wi-Fi on the beach. Come on.
Another game that I've really come to love in recent years is the XCOM series. Now, I haven't played the original XCOM games, but they sort of redid it in a new story. So XCOM and XCOM 2. So XCOM 2 I've been playing over about 2 years because I just find, 10, 20 minutes here or there. And it is so much fun. Firstly, there's no language, which is good. No foul language or anything to worry about. You have a base, and you have to develop the base over the course of the game to be able to keep up with the technological developments of the aliens. Because the humans don't have advanced technology compared, that humans have guns and bullets and whatever. Whereas the aliens have lasers and psychic powers and all. So you're up against, it's this David and Goliath kind of battle going on, where you're up against trying to outsmart the aliens and beat them. And you have to do missions, and you choose areas you go to, and you have to pick missions carefully so that you don't run out of time before the aliens unleash their master plan and beat you. And XCOM 1 and XCOM 2 do it so well. And they are so much fun. I love those games, and they're turn-based. So in this case, you program a move, like how many steps your character is going to make, and give them commands. And because you're trying to outflank the aliens, or and you don't know where they are as well. So you have to move around very carefully.
Like
fog of war.
Yeah, it's like battleships in a sense. Yeah, because they're gonna. It is like that. Yeah, because they're going to reveal themselves, or you're going to reveal yourself first, and if they reveal themselves first, you have the advantage over them in the battlefield, and vice versa. Yeah. So it is so much fun. I love the XCOM games. The storyline's really good, and the missions that you do are really interesting. You have to go find a reactor, find this piece of technology, get to a place before the aliens do, or everyone loses. All that, it's up against it kind of stuff. So I love the XCOM series. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'd also recommend Apple Arcade. I don't use it all the time, but it's got some pretty fun games if you need something quick to play. Yeah, like the Star Wars game I mentioned is from there. And there's some other great ones on there as well.
Sweet.
Do you know cats can also play games? I got an iPad apps for the cats, and they
yes.
Play. Yeah. They just there's one with a fish just swimming across the screen, and the cats go and pat it, or chase a mouse, and they're so they love it.
Hopefully you have a screen protector, Caroline.
Yes,
Just
I
making
do.
sure.
And
Yeah.
now I can't leave. Like if I have something on my phone, like YouTube or whatever, I have to put it down face
Oh my
down.
goodness
Otherwise,
me.
the cat will come and play with it.
They're
Yeah.
iPad
Oh, so
addicts.
cute.
Yeah. hmm
Do you have paw protection for your devices?
I think I'll go and invest in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you
Lino,
go.
do you want to
Oh,
throw
God.
anything in before we finish up? Any games?
Yeah, so Caroline with the Switch, my brother has the Switch and Mario Kart on that is, I would say, yeah, it's easier to control than on the Wii. Then yeah, it's so much smoother but the only problem is I don't know the controller you have, it is tiny.
It's tiny, yeah.
I'm sorry, Switch.
Yeah.
Can we make it just slightly a bit
Yeah.
bigger? Maybe what's that? 20 centimeters.
Have you seen the size of our heads?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
it's
can
tiny.
get like another holder and extra
Yeah.
extra controls, and then just put them in so that it's bigger. So you've got like an extra big instead of playing on the tiny little
it's
one.
tiny thing.
Because
Yeah, I might
yeah,
have
it's
to-
not easy.
I might have to tell my brother about that. But
Yeah.
the Switch is awesome. I really enjoy playing that with my nieces and nephews, especially they play just Mario Kart. Mario Kart.
It's kind of like
But it's a
everyone's
great
favorite game, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
Mario
an
Kart,
iconic
yeah.
game. Yeah,
That
it's
Smash
awesome.
Brothers is a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Smash
You know, we see all
Brothers,
the
yeah.
characters from different games. You just
Yeah.
fight each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like and it's
Exactly.
like comic violence, so it's funny. You know that.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
Yeah.
See,
So you got like
yeah,
Mario
Pokemon
Party.
versus Zelda and yeah.
Mario. Oh, come on.
Mario
Mario
Party,
Party.
yeah.
Thank you, Caroline. And
Yeah.
that's a classic. Of course, it's only 4 players. Is it correct? For Mario
I-
Party, is it 4?
Yeah,
Or you
I
can make
think so.
more.
Yeah, depends which
Yeah.
console, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you which console you have, but that's a great. Yeah, well,
That's
Mario
just a
Party.
board game with Mario characters.
It's
and
so
and
fun.
it's a lot of fun
It's
with
so
mini
fun.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many hours have we all sunk into Mario
my
Party
God.
over the years?
I know.
And like, what are they up to? Mario Party 50? I don't know. There's so
I
many
yeah,
of them now.
I think
Yeah.
we've got
Is there
number
one for the
50.
Switch?
Yeah.
Yes, there is. It's for
Yeah.
the Switch.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And the
There
cool
you
thing is they're
There
all
you go.
different. They've all got something unique
Yeah.
in them as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then where you guys are talking about the first console you have, the first console we had was the PlayStation 2,
Awesome.
and like the same as you guys, my brother and I split the payment to buy it,
yeah.
and it was great. For us it was great. My first console we ever had for the family was a Sega Master System.
Oh.
Ooh, that's
And
going
my
back.
dad loved it. He played it, and then I don't know if all you guys remember Alex Kidd. Alex Kidd. It was like
That is
almost a
awesome.
German version of Mario.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Mario coming around, and I will never forget the time that Dad wanted total silence in playing that game. My brother and I could not even breathe.
Have to
That's
He would
concentrate.
funny.
give
Yeah.
us a look, or just say, "Please, I'm trying to play my game." Okay, Dad.
All right.
It was like, that was probably the only time he was so serious about a game. In that,
That's
and then
cool.
it was.
Hey, gaming is a
it's so
serious
funny.
thing, you know?
It is.
It's a serious
I
business.
agree.
Yeah.
Well, it
Yeah.
is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
you play
is.
you get $1 million for playing a game, and
Hey, look,
what's that competitions? Yeah.
My son hates it when I tickle him when he's playing computer games.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Damien's like, Dad, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping it. I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the call for screen time? Okay, that's enough. Go
Yeah.
to bed now.
Yeah,
No,
that's it.
I don't want
Yeah.
to. 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Damien's like that. Like, oh, Damien, time to stop now. Can I have 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
The challenge actually is if you've got if you've been playing screen time or a game at the same time as your kids,
Yeah.
you want to keep playing longer, but you know you need the kids to stop
That's
so they
right.
can go to
So-
bed.
Yeah.
And then you make the mistake of going longer, and then they're still wide awake and don't sleep
Yes.
till 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Just a little side note, guys. About the screen time thing. There's something on TV called parental guidance.
Yes, I saw
So,
that. Yeah.
I think you guys have heard about it on Channel 9.
Oh, yeah. I've
parental
seen the
guidance.
advertisement.
Yeah, each parents have their different ways of raising their children.
Mm.
So I think it may have been gone now. I don't know if it's tonight or tomorrow, but one of the subjects is about screen time.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think one is about screen time, this one, and the next one is the parents have to look after all the other parents' kids.
Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
One of the-
okay.
yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
fun.
Yeah,
That's
just
gonna go
a
down
side
well,
note
isn't
about
it?
just a
Yeah.
side note about his screen time stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was interesting with that one.
Mm.
All right, let's wrap it up
Yeah.
there because we're going to end up having a video game podcast in a minute.
Yes. Which isn't
sorry,
bad.
Secrets of
Yeah, it's
Technology.
all right, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Secrets of Technology. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Taking bits
Down
of
It's
to
it.
all right to share.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
true. That is true.
All right. We want to thank you all so much for joining us for episode 68 of the Catholics of Oz. And before we go, we'd love to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Catholics of Oz. And today, a very warm and sincere thanks to Kari O, Christy R, Chris K, Walter G, and Daniel W. Through their generous donations at sqpn.com/give, they make it possible for the Catholics of Oz and all of the shows at StarQuest to continue. And if you'd like to join them, you can visit sqpn.com/give. And remember to pray for us as well, because that's such an important part of the mission of this network as well. Also, we'd like to know your thoughts on our topics today. Would you like to tell us about the Synod on Synodality, as I mentioned before? Ever dropped an egg? What happened? Tell us. And your favorite video games. I'm sure there are some nostalgic games. You know, were you a fan of Commander Keen? You know, Caroline used to tease me about the character Princess Lindsay in that one. But that's
Same name.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Any classic games that you loved? Anything that just that nostalgic? I'd love to play that game again. Space Quest 5. Anyway, so moving on. Yes, you can send us feedback by visiting sqpn.com/Oz, where you can also find our show notes for today's episode. And while you're at the SQPN website, you can sign up to the Insiders Club newsletter and get updates on all of your favorite shows, which is at sqpn.com/about/newsletter. And if you're a North American listener, you can join the StarQuest fan club mailing list by texting StarQuest to 66866. Send StarQuest to 66866. And you can also visit us at the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuest Media. And don't forget that we have our own Facebook page that you're welcome to join and leave your thoughts on at facebook.com/Catholics of Oz, spelt OZ. And you can join us there in talking about our latest episodes. Or if you love email, we've got good old catholicsofOz@sqpn.com. Caroline, thank you so much for joining us. And also on your behalf, thank you also for bringing Frankie onto the show today.
Yeah, thank you. And Frank had a great time. So yeah, thanks for having him on.
He was awesome. Yeah, that was great. And Lino, thank you so much for being on the show as well.
Thanks for having me, guys, and God bless everyone. Everyone take care. I'd like to say a little prayer for Dom. Just something about his GoFundMe. Apparently he's still having problems with his house.
A few
So
things
just like-
happening. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I'll just hope to keep Dom and his family in your prayers. And take care, everyone. I can't believe we're still out of lockdown. Sorry, I just keep on saying it.
It's great, isn't it?
It's good. It's great.
It's great.
So
It
much
just
freedom. We don't
feels-
know what to do with it now.
I know.
Just want to stay
I
home.
know. It's like, yeah.
I did manage to go to Kmart, so that's good.
Yeah,
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much to both of you. And once again, I'm Lindsay Sands. And thank you so much for listening to the Catholics of Oz on StarQuest.